Hiya, welcome back to At Home with GSM. We missed last week, but this week it's just going to be me, just because Jamie's not feeling too well. We've both had tonsillitis. I'm just coming off of it, and Jamie's, I think, in the thick of it. So I'm going to be doing about the power of emotional marketing in today's episode. So that's sort of how brands will use emotions, not necessarily to manipulate, but just to further their brand and their marketing. So emotional marketing, it taps into feelings. So you've got joy, nostalgia, but then it can also be negative, like fear and loneliness. Usually it does work. So studies show that campaigns with emotional content perform twice as well as those focused purely on rational messages. So you've got things like Nike's Just Do It, Coca-Cola's Open Happiness, and they're usually trying to sell an identity or confidence. But people usually will buy feelings, so something is giving you a certain feeling, you're more likely to buy it than just buying a product. So when we purchase something, we're often buying how it makes us feel, whether this is powerful, accepted, safe, or inspired. So how can small businesses or marketers use this? So number one, if you know your audience's core emotion, so what would drive their decisions? Would it be a fear of missing out, a desire for connection? You got to identify the emotional trigger behind the choice. And also tell an authentic story. So you've got real stories about people, struggles, victories, and things that will resonate more than a statistic. So obviously, on Growth Marketing, we have testimonials of people who've used our products before on our website. And this can obviously show an emotion behind it, and that there's real people behind the process and that it does actually work. And you also want to match your tone to your emotion. So obviously colour palettes, we've got greens and a bright yellow because it's like a bulb, like a light bulb. But every element of your campaign and product should reinforce whatever feeling you want. So we probably want confidence or an idea, so to spark growth. That's really cheesy. But it's not obviously a manipulation, it's about trying to connect. And that behind obviously every click there is a person with emotions, and your brand needs to kind of tap into that authentically, because that kind of is what builds a loyal fan base, I'd say. I'm looking at I wrote a little script. But I think in terms of emotion, it is quite important. I think people tend to overlook it, I would say. Like I said, in terms of research, it's about 90% of people make a purchase decision subconsciously. So if you walk into a store and say, I think of a store, say Next, we'll use Next, and you're going on holiday and you want a bikini, you might choose a brighter colour if you're wanting to stand out more, or you're wanting to invoke emotions such as happiness. So you might choose a yellow, a pink, or if you kind of want to just be more chill and blend in a bit more, you might choose a darker colour like black or a dark blue. Obviously these are joy. Disney's very good with joy. They kind of obviously a lot of what Disney's about is dreams, things like that. So they will use certain slogans, certain music, certain colours as well. So obviously you've got joy and happiness, but I would say there's also fear. So an insurance company, security system, anti-smoking campaign, their fear-based marketing is if you choose us, it will be a relief and safety. And then belonging, I'd probably say, is the strongest driver, because human beings kind of naturally seek connection. So things like lifestyle, Apple products, it's saying you're not just it's not just a phone, you're joining a community of people with this phone and you can connect, and if you don't have this phone you can't do certain things, those sorts of things. But I would say, because it's only a short episode, but I'd say another main 3 takeaways I think that we've found as well at Growth Marketing. I try and do my posts a lot with empathy and show that there's a human behind it when I make posts. So understanding your audience's struggles and hopes, Emotion should guide your message but not manipulate it. Balance feeling with value. So an emotional connection can get attention, but genuine value keeps trust. You need to make sure the product lives up to the promise. And then measure the emotional impact. So monitor engagement, feedback and sentiment to see how your audience is feeling based on certain posts and certain things that you might offer. But obviously, to kind of summarise this like minisode, marketing isn't really just about reaching people, it's about moving them. So you want to invoke an emotion to sell more products. If you show people more respect, they're more likely to become loyal, trusting, and you're more likely to build that community. Whereas if you're manipulating, it's very easy to tell. And it's never really good to sell things through fear. I think it's always better to have a positive emotion to evoke. But yeah, this was just a short episode that I wanted to put up, just talking about emotions and marketing. We'll put the links to our social medias down below if you want to book in for a discovery call with one of us and see what we can help you and your business with. That would be fab. But yeah, me and Jamie should be back next week when she's better, bless her. But yeah, have a lovely day. Bye.